All right, we're going against Aurora. We're probably going to choose to go second most of the time. We have good disruption, and so we would prefer to send that when they need to block with cards. The downside here is that the Aurora will get to set up a 5-card hand, probably including an embodiment. When it comes to AB, we could opt to run Tide Flippers here. I think we're going to. I would much prefer to have Shuko to block. And so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and cut Snatch. So that way we don't really need to worry about snaps being out of the list. And then we're going to go ahead and bring in a lot of disruption here. So we'll maybe consider still keeping Sigil. That's kind of a tough call, but I think we're going to cut Spinning Wheel Kick for sure. That puts us down to 61 cards. Yellow Flick Flack is honestly kind of underwhelming in this matchup. Most of Aurora's cards are going to come in for 4, so Flick Flack, maybe outside of Tunic, actually doesn't really get us a whole lot of value. It could also be one of the Razors. I think that's also like really reasonable here. I think we're probably fine cutting a Razor. The problem with this configuration is going second. We have so many defensive tools. We'd have a pretty low chance of actually drawing attacks, but we could maybe side in these Torrents as well. So let's go ahead and try this config and see how it goes. And we're going to bring in Needle, and let's get into it. So this is exactly what we want going second into Aurora, or just every single turn playing into Aurora. We have a race face. And so our turn is basically set in stone. We're going to Kodachi for 1 and then send a race face for 7. The race face hits. She's going to lose all of her card text, so all the lightning cards will not work. Alright, so my opponent plays Heaven's Claw. Pretty obvious they're just going to do this to set up an embodiment. It's kind of unfortunate because we would actually prefer to keep the sync to Arsenal. It's a really clean Arsenal target. We could also block with the Flick Flack here and then just hope that we draw blue, but I think it's pretty obvious we're just going to go ahead and play sync here. Honestly, a Fate would actually be pretty nice. We'd have the ability to try to opt, because we're mainly just looking for a good Arsenal target here, because we're probably not going to use too many action points. I mean, blue Flick Flack is a fine Arsenal. I wouldn't mind if we just draw more blues here, and that's what we have to do. Wow, okay, that's a very good hand. So what we're going to do is we're just going to send a race face, and then we're going to Arsenal. Well, actually, we may send Weakest Link here. It's a tough call. Them already having the embodiment means that we maybe don't get that much equity from turning off the lightning cards during their next turn. It really does depend on what the texture of the hand is. Weakest Link, though, is a really good hand after we need to block down, because the card draw will just refill our arsenal. I'm going to say let's go for a race face here. I mean, they could really go either way. I think both cards are probably equal prio sometimes. Well, okay, it turns out we got pretty lucky on that one. It's very good for us. Okay, so you're gonna do that to put a card back to hand. Oh wait. How should that? Not sure, honestly. Then we're gonna throw our Weakest Link into Arsenal. Nice, we have CNC as well. I'm definitely curious what the gold and Dominion is for. So here with no on hit, we're going to go ahead and block with the Flick Flack. Means that if they play another 0 for 4 with an on hit, okay, well, never mind. This one did have an on hit, we just didn't know. So that'll happen. We'll play our Flick Flack. Unfortunately, they're going to get their card draw here. We really hope that they Arsenal on this turn, so that our CNC has good equity. I am curious if they're going to follow this up with something. I probably would expect them to. So we'll go ahead and take it. If not, then we're just going to CNC them. Okay. A bit unfortunate. We get penalized for 3 damage. But I do want to be careful about that, because if we block that one with the go again and they play like a chain ender like Snatch, then we're in trouble, because we would have to give 2 cards to stop the on hit. I think it maybe could go either way, but I think this is more than good enough here. It's going to come in for 7. It's going to require 2/3 blocks, an Iron Weave, or the Grasp. And I probably expect this Arsenal to be pretty good, considering that they gave up an action point to arsenal this, right? If it was just some random attack, they probably would have thrown it out. Well, maybe I'm wrong, or maybe their hand can't defend it. Oh, okay. It was Lightning Valley. Interesting. Oh, that's actually a pretty cool interaction, so they actually get to keep it. Wow. Okay. That's strong. Well, we're in trouble for sure. Especially drawing Sigil here. This is not the time to draw Sigil for sure. So our plan for this turn honestly may involve armor blocking. We really would have liked to have Flick Flack here or something like that. Drawing the 2 block and the Sigil here is pretty bad timing. This is fine. So I think our plan here is to... It's gonna be difficult. I really don't know if we can actually deny them the draw this turn. So it may just be better just to let them have it now. Because they're just gonna swing Starfall afterwards, most likely. And then they could also even make a rune chant. And then next thing you know, we have to strip our entire hand just to stop this. But maybe it's fine to... maybe it's fine to make them commit more resources for the card draw. It may be better for them if they're able to draw the 2 cards now and then decide how they want to use their resources. It's possible that maybe they commit a blue to Grasp to try to push the channel hit, and then they draw a card that they needed the resources for. Huh. No go again on this one, so pretty obviously they're going to snap, or they could have blink or something. This is a tough call. I kind of like blocking this here, mainly just because this forces them to use snaps just in order to get value potentially out of the channel this turn. This could also be press. If it's press, it's pretty unfortunate for us, but I think they would have displayed press on the last card, so I would be kind of surprised. They don't know our hand. They should snap here, but they don't know that we're holding a non-block, so it's really good for us. Also surprised that they couldn't pitch either to... I guess I hadn't played a lightning card that turn. I am surprised that they didn't activate Aurora, but this is going to be really good for us because we're going to get to go into 7. I'm kind of tempted to start swinging Needle here. I guess I am a little bit worried about them having a 3 block, but maybe that's kind of pointless. I'm not happy to have to give up Mask and Shuko that early, but the fact that we denied 2 card draws out of it somehow, which to be honest, I was not expecting. I was just expecting to get snaps out of them. Oh, it was Sync. Wow. Okay. It's the first time I've seen that card in Aurora list. We're still getting the on hit here. Okay, so they have all normal cards anyway. Okay, so they have double Flicker Wisp. Alright, good to know. So 2 Flicker Wisp, the current funnel, and then a Lightning Surge. So it's going to be Lightning Surge to Arsenal. Oh wow, okay, I was wrong. So they're probably going to maybe try to set up Flicker Wisp? I really don't know, to be honest. This is interesting. We could take 4 here just to send the E-Strike with Go again, but honestly, I think the line here is that we're going to block for 3, and then we're going to play out our Sigil. We're going to CNC for 7, and then we're going to E-Strike. Just kidding, no we're not. I don't know how I feel about that use of snaps there. I have a feeling that's probably incorrect, but... Okay. Yeah, I feel like they're maybe concerned that they're not presenting enough damage, but I really don't think that that should be a concern right now, to be honest. Like, this is like 3 value out of the snaps that they got the Starfall swing plus the Grasp activation, but I feel like you want way more out of snaps, to be honest. Now they're going to Arsenal that and then just get disrupted immediately. I just missed this now. This is one of the joys of playing live. I missed that I could use Tunic to pay for the Rune Chant. I am not really utilizing Tunic too much in this matchup. Mainly just because I need these disruptive hits to come in for 7, so I'm rarely swinging that second attack, which is kind of a bummer, to be honest. We'll start swinging Zephyr Needle once we get out of all of the 2 costs. I mean, we're kind of suffering from success, right? We're drawing all of these pretty consistently, which is what we want. Yeah, I missed that. I should have used Tunic for the Tide Flippers so we could just gain 1, because it's very likely that by the time Tunic comes back up, in between now and 3 turns, we're probably not going to have a play line where we need it, most likely, so probably should just use it to preserve 1 life. So if we lose by 1, it's just pure mistake, so that's why we play these, but we can practice a little bit more. Alright, so my opponent blocks for 7, we're going to get the Sigil here. Pretty insane tempo swing on our end. Arsenal and E-Strike is really good too, because it means that even if our next hand honestly kind of sucks, we'll get to convert it for damage. Wow, okay, this hand does not suck at all. We are cooking. So this costs 3, which means we actually can use our Tunics. Ironically, it actually was good that we held on to Tunic here. If we want to use E-Strike to have a go again effect, we can do that. We're going to miss out on having Sync though, which is kind of a bummer. But I think at this point we're already going to disrupt, so let's just push extra damage, I think. So we're going to pick Go again here. So this is where having Mask Up would still be huge. A bit unfortunate, but I expect them to probably take most of this damage. So from here we're going to go probably Needle into Bittering Thorns, and then Tunic into the weakest link. We'll see if they want to de-react this Needle, because I did see Sync once. So will be kind of a shame if it dies, but oh well. Oh man, is it gonna get de-reacted? It's not. Okay. We're cooking. We'll have a card draw as well from the weakest link, most likely. So. Oh, they did have a Sync. Oh, okay. I mean, this would be a pretty good turn for them, but I'm not super concerned on our end. We're also double stacking embodiments here, so this could be a lot worse is all I'm saying. Go ahead and block. We're just gonna Arsenal our Flying Kick, most likely. There's an argument to play it. And we know their last card is Arcana Crackle. They're not gonna play that, so their turn is basically over here. And we're just gonna take the 2 damage. Oh, that's pretty cool, yeah. I still don't see a point yet in paying for this. Oh, I missed that part. That's actually pretty cool. I wonder if that's what it's for. I will say now, I think something like Crown would have gotten them a lot more equity, but I see the vision. But grasping the Starfall here would be pretty sick. Flying Kick. I think here we will. I think this is fine. It's a little tempting because they are at 12. They're probably going to take, 4 more damage next turn. So they would go to 8, which means I just keep 2 cards, and then Flying Kick presents lethal. But I think we're probably fine just to get 3 value out of this. Not having the Tunic is a problem. It means that we have to keep a whole extra card to get the Flying Kick off, so it's probably just not correct to do it, right? We probably just block out until we get our Tunic back up, and then we can go for that play line, and our opponent will probably be the same life total. We also haven't seen too many D-reacts, and we're, I think, about a third of the way through the deck at this point. We've only seen a couple Flick Flacks. We've seen a blue one. We've seen 1 Sync. And we know we run Fates, we know we run Rainbow Flick Flack, so it's probably pretty likely that we're about to draw a lot. We've been drawing a lot of our Disruption and our aggressive cards, so I think we're overdue to have a few slower hands, most likely. Like, we've already drawn 2 Bittering Thorns, 2 Weakest Links, 2 CNCs. Perfect. We have a CNC line for next turn, while also being able to block 6. Oh, this is so good for us. Unfortunately, these cards are really bad in Arsenal. So I really don't know what we're going to do. We honestly could put the Dishonor in the Arsenal and then just aggressively use Tide Flippers for it. That's actually probably fine if we need to. The alternative is we swing the Zephyr Needle as well. But then CNC doesn't come in for 7, although CNC for 7 may not matter a whole lot here. It's a hard call for sure. I think the main question is, do I want to Arsenal Dishonor? The reason for sending the 7 here is this deck actually does have a lot of 2 blocks, so even though I could send the Zephyr Needle for 3, I value more about disrupting them here to keep them off the 5 card hand. And I can envision a lot of lines so they have 1 3 block and a 2 block, and they get to use the graphs to block the Command and Conquer for 6. 7 here requires them to actually have 2 3 blocks, which may not be possible. Right, if they have 2 blocks, it requires 3 cards, and if they only have 1 3 block, we still require 3 cards from them. The more likely scenario is they probably just give up their arsenal here, in which case they go down to 3, and then we're glad that we get to Arsenal the Dishonor, because with the Tide Flippers we still get to fire it off for 2. So if their next turn doesn't present... Okay, see, exactly. Okay, so we are glad that we decided to take the line for 7, because if we sent it in for 6, then we get to keep 2 more cards. So with that, I am more skeptical now about Arsenal Dishonored. It's pretty likely we're going to keep most of our cards. We can throw it in here and see how bad that punishes us. And they're just going to pass back. Okay. So we're going to just use this opportunity then to push damage. And that'll probably involve using the Tide Flippers here, because with the Tide Flippers we do present lethal. By a pretty good margin as well. The main problem is that once Tide Flippers are gone, things get a lot more scary. Because any like Flicker Wisp combo turn could actually potentially be lights out for us, but they're gonna go solo. I'm not concerned at all here, to be honest. Yeah, this is definitely where, you know, I wish I had the boots still, but it's perfectly fine because we took this line knowing that we were ripping so many cards from them that even if it was like an Arc Lightning Flicker Wisp turn, that they weren't going to be able to actually like kill us from like 20. But this is a lot of damage, right? So we are a little bit concerned, but not too much, to be honest. I don't think there's any card that they can play that we're worried about. We have 2 D-Reacts, we still have Tunic up, and we're just going to completely grind out their life total after this. Yeah, this is perfectly fine. We're just going to fate this. This game is basically over. We'll throw that on the bottom. We're trying to find more damage at this point. Let's go ahead and just we're gonna do the full line, right? Because, you know, all this damage matters. We don't really care about breakpoints at that point. All right, our opponent scoops it up. A little bit awkward. I think we're gonna still pitch 1 card because we want to filter a bit. We need to find some disruption. If we just pass back an Arsenal once, this hand is still really bad. Unfortunately, our opponent also gets to filter a bit, but we'll pass the turn here. I think 2 new cards is enough to probably try to find something. Yeah, Torrent Tempo's not bad. Let's go ahead and block this for 7. I expect my opponent to try to Arsenal something, so I expect them only to play 1 more card this turn. There we go. I wish we were presenting Disruption here. Unfortunately, we're not. We're just presenting the normal 2-card 8 line, but this does threaten Mask, which is nice. And Tornado Tempo is actually a pretty good 1 for 5 for these lines. Most of the time it's just going to be a stat stick, it doesn't matter. But the cool thing is that if it does proc Mask, it's like the best Mask procer because it gets go again, which means that even if you draw like one of these like unplayable blues, it still immediately converts to damage. So in most other cases, if you're going to draw blind without go again, it's pretty rough because if you hit one of your combo blues, you don't want to arsenal it. But with the go again, you know, it just adds 1 to 2 extra damage. Although Somersault is a really strong card, to be honest. Tunic will be up, which means we get our full Bittering Thorns line. That's very good for us. And we'll go ahead and we'll block this. I am a little bit worried about Snatch being a follow-up here. But we'll see. This one I'll have to take. We need to still present some kind of disruption. We're not a fatigue deck. So our plan here is to go Bittering Thorns into Erase Face. We could also go Zephyr Needle into Erase Face. I don't hate that line either. I think they're probably both good. The main problem with the Erase Face line, if we use Needle, is that they can just block with one card and armor. So I think we have to send Bittering Thorns here to actually demand 2 cards. I'm assuming they have a D-React here. Well, it's very unfortunate for them. Because we're about to have a pretty sick follow-up here. I definitely like the concept of Sync in this deck, because it feels like they're trying to play a little bit more slow to find that Flicker Wisp combo turn. This deck does have a lot of 3 blocks, which is also pretty nice. Honestly, it's a tough call. I think we're actually going to take this. The main question is actually, do we want to just go Weakest Link for 7? Or do we want to play out like Kodachi, Needle, Torna Tempo, see if they block, and then if they don't, we Weakest Link? The main problem is that if they do block, we IP ourselves by 2. So maybe the reasonable thing to do here is to use the Flick Flack. Unfortunately though, the Flick Flack is probably my best arsenal target. I guess if they block out the Torna Tempo, then the Weakest Link becomes my arsenal target, which is probably okay. Interesting. So they're just going to make an embodiment here. So they're pretty disincentivized from blocking, most likely. I think now my playline probably changes though. Potentially. Oof. I'm getting the vibe they're probably not blocking. Main issue here though is we have to hit a blue or a yellow. Oh, we got really punished. That's unfortunate. I think we just have to send the Pounding Gale here. To actually convert something for the line. Yeah, that is also what I was worried about, is we didn't have Tunic up, so it's actually not guaranteed. It's a decent value swing for us, but we didn't present Disruption, which is the main problem here. Channel Valley is okay. We're gonna go ahead and play Flick Flack here. Although the main problem is the Channel Valley, that bounces it back to their hand. At least it should. Depends on when they play this. They should bounce it back. Unless if they decide to pass on the trigger. And if they bounce it back, they lose their action point. So this is actually like kind of an awkward interaction between the 2 cards, is that you want to use it as a combat trick, but then you're missing out on cheating the card back to hand. I think if they had an instant like press, man, would they have played it already? It's actually a hard call. Maybe they wouldn't have. I'm just really hoping they just decide to Arsenal here. Okay. Arsenaling's very good for us. We get to get back on track. I'm definitely a little bit worried after missing that turn of disruption. Also, Valley's gone as well, so Valley just converted for 0 damage, which is really, really good for us. Somersault's so crazy. Such a strong card. I'm not blocking Starfall, so... Oh, that is for 5? Interesting. We could consider fading it here. Oh, wow. They have a Valley. Okay. I still think we fate. And then we try to set up a really good Arsenal hit for the weakest link. That's literally perfect. So if weakest link hits next turn and we get our card draw, then we're going to draw Fate to Arsenal, which is really nice. Again, the vibe, we're probably going to have to use our armor here. Maybe not. Okay, it looks like we're not going to. Strictly better to keep Rushing River in the deck. This is super minute, but it does have like a niche synergy line with Torrent, so... Probably no reason that would ever come up, but, you know, just in case. I think here we're going to play Weakest Link for 7 and then try to convert our Tunic into a damage prevention. Wow, we're gonna miss? Wow, he actually missed. That's crazy. So, we do know their hand actually doesn't have... Oh, okay. They just decided to go for this line here. A bit unfortunate. I don't really want to use Tunic for blocking. So... But I also don't want to give them the Valley counter. Or the Valley draw. We know that their line is probably going to be playing Lightning Surge. And then arsenaling the Arc Lightning. We could block this for 5. I just don't really like it. We could also just block it for 6 and then fate the Lightning Surge. Let's go ahead, actually. Let's use Fate here. It's a good card to have on top, but unfortunately it doesn't serve us anymore now that we just gave up Tunic. The reason for this line is that if they want to send the Lightning Surge, they would have to snaps it. If they want to use the card from Channel Valley. Interesting. Oh, I forgot that it naturally has go again. I see. Do we give them the card draw here? That's a really hard question. I don't know exactly what the right answer is. It probably actually would have been smarter if we just floated Tunic this turn. So that was actually completely a punt on our part. So we learned a valuable lesson here. We know that they're going to Arsenal Arc Lightning, so we have to be pretty careful. Or sorry, not, yeah, Arc Lightning. So if they draw a Flicker Wisp, we're in pretty big trouble. I'm not exactly thrilled by the situation that we're in. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to pitch Pounding Gale and then Fate Foreseen on the Lightning Surge. But yeah, this is a pretty massive punt that we just didn't think to float Tunic. That's probably a line I would think of if I was playing in paper, just because I'm more conscious of that usually. We're going to bottom that. We're still looking for disruption pieces. We just ideally need to just always have those every hand. And then my hope here is that their hand doesn't kill us. So. Killing from 30 is kind of difficult with no embodiment, but this deck feels a little bit more explosive. The fact that it's on the crown. Flick-Flock's okay here. I think unfortunately I'm probably going to take most damage this turn. They do have Flicker Wisp. Okay. I just don't really want to give up the Flick-Flock just yet because it's worth so much value. I want to see a little bit more information. There's a good chance they're also going to be playing attack actions this turn, and so these are worth 3 in either direction. They're still showing Flittering Charge. We don't know if they have Channel Valley. If they had Channel Valley, they probably would have already played it by now, though. So we're probably fine to use Flick-Flock here. The main question is if we want to block with Shuko or not. We probably can hold off a little bit longer, but it is a pretty clean block for 2, so we may just choose to use it here. I am kind of upset about that Tunic play, because we could potentially have a Pounding Gale in Arsenal right now and just get to keep a 1-card hand that still sends 8 here. My opponent's at 12, so we do need to kill them at some point. I still think right now, go again here. I still think we have an opportunity to get 3 value out of a 3 block, or we save it and then send 4. So I haven't seen enough reason yet to use one of these to pitch. I'm expecting at least like 2 more attacks here. This is a lot of damage though, for sure. And this is only their first Flicker Wisp, and maybe their second Arc Lightning though. I do think I saw them pitch one earlier. They're showing Charge here. We'll get our 5 value. If they have Snatch, oh well. But yep, Grass was pretty solid here. Hard call. So we know we're getting 3 value at this point. They're gonna play. They're gonna swing Starfall. They're going to pitch. Or they already have pitched. Yeah, I think we could get 3 value out of this here. They won, we'll have to take the 2 here, unfortunately. If they pass to hold the last card, then we still get our 4 value out of our blue, swinging Kodachi and Needle. Yeah, so this is okay, but you know, like I said, if we had that Pounding Gale, we missed out on 5 damage, so we can check after and see if 5 damage would have made or break the game. I mean, the other thing too here is that we have to value the card draw we would have gotten, right? If we went Kodachi Needle and then 1 for 5. We would have drawn Warmongers to Arsenal, assuming that our opponent didn't block anything, so pretty meaningless, honestly. Our hope here is that our opponent doesn't have a good 4-card hand. This deck does look like it can break a little bit harder. It feels a little bit more combo focused. They have Snaps this, which I mean, pretty reasonable. I would probably expect them to do that, but go ahead and block. We're hoping we get to send the E-Strike back for 7, but that may not be the case. It's Crackle Fused. It's not. We're gonna go ahead and block 3 and then send 7. And that means if our opponent slips up at all, we're pretty close to lethal range, but this is a problem, right? We missed out on 5 damage, so this would be presenting lethal. Our opponent could keep Grasp here, so we'll keep that in mind. If we're just dead next turn, then the Tunic misplay didn't matter. Because potentially, right, if they'd taken 5 more damage, they would be at 1 if they block with Grasp. Wow, okay, that's pretty good for us. That gives us more breathing room to keep a 2-card hand that disrupts. Oh my god, they get the somersault back to hand, that's pretty good. Really need some disruption here. Well, yeah, that's kind of it. That's definitely a problem. Our hope here is that they're just going to set up and pass. And that's mainly what we're hoping for, but I unfortunately think we do have to deny. Yeah, I think we have to deny this, unfortunately. So our play is going to be sending back E-Strike, most likely. So the main question is whether or not we want to block with Mask or block with a card here. I think we can probably block with a card. But it's not looking good. I'm assuming we're probably dead on the next turn unless if they brick pretty hard. Gone in a Flash is rough. There's an argument to just blocking for 6 here. I may want to keep the weakest link just so I can keep a 1-card hand potentially. They're going to be on 4 cards here, so it's pretty unlikely that they can kill. Some Mask maybe is a better option here. We just really need to draw Flick Flack at this point in the game. I don't think we've seen too many of the red ones. Yeah, yellow's fine, but the problem is we don't have a combo card here, so we don't even get value out of it. These are all just vanilla 3 blocks. So, pretty rough spot for us, to be honest. I would not be surprised if we just lose on this turn. Them pitching 2 in a grasp, though, is really good. So it makes me think that they bricked. It's pretty surprising, to be honest. We could let them draw here, honestly. Let's think about this real quick. So, if we take all of this, we go to 2. That's a problem. But, we could block with one of these, and what's more important is that on our turn we could go Kodachi for 1, Zephyr Needle. Oh, it's tough. None of it really works how we want to. We know that they're just going to Arsenal the second strike. This doesn't have go again, I think. Unless if I miss something. Man, I think we probably just have to conserve life here. But we could get kind of close to lethal. Kind of unfortunate. I think we probably just should do this though. I think if one of these was a blue, we probably could think about this line. Because we could just pitch the Flick Flack and play the weakest link. So I'm assuming they did this to keep channel around. It's my main assumption. We actually did get pretty lucky considering how bad our hand was if they just wanted to go off there. My hope is that this is disruptive enough for us to find another piece of the puzzle. But them still having channel out is a problem, for sure. And this may just whiff here, unfortunately. And it did. Wow, okay. It's really bad for us, but what can you do? They're gonna get their card draw. Nothing we can do about it. Pretty likely that we probably just lose on this turn. With an Arc Lightning, I'm pretty sure that's game, but we'll see. That Tunic play probably was a game-losing play, which is really frustrating when you think about it, but I guess part of it maybe is a useful learning tool. That stuff like that actually really does matter. Because yeah, if we had Tunic, we probably would take the line, or sorry, if we, assuming that we put 5 more damage in during that turn, we would take a line here that would probably involve us taking their Arcana Crackle because they're going so low, and then we keep our hand and just pressure their life total. They wouldn't get cards to keep this. We'd be at like 2 or something, but that wouldn't really matter. We're just dead to Grasp, so we'll call it here. So yeah, so that's some more gameplay for the deck. So that just goes to show that numbers like that really do matter. You are playing a numbers mid-range deck, so even missing 1 point of value somewhere can ultimately snowball the entire game into a loss. So yeah, but that's your current game plan. So hopefully some things kind of made sense. That's probably what you would do into an aggro deck like that. Looking back on it, I think it's probably fine that we cut out things like Razor and Snatch. We don't need 2 blocks in the deck, and we're rarely putting the gas pedal on. I think the biggest question is whether or not we wanted Sigil in that matchup. I think Sigil would probably clean up some of the end game with the arcane pings, but also as a liability if they're presenting on hits, especially with channel around. So I think we probably sideboarded correctly. It was just one unfortunate mistake that snowballed into a game loss, but you know, that's how it goes. So hopefully this is helpful getting you started playing the hero. Until next time, thank you for watching.